when I said the plank, I meant the exercise. I didn't mean chuck him overboard. Go and get him back. Go on, useless bloody crew.
But hey, folks, how are you all? It's Cap'n Kilty at your swashbuckling service. Please, take a seat. A foredeck. How are you all? Hope you're doing well. Now, the garb, the piratical garb, it's in honour of what we're reviewing today. And what are we reviewing today, Kilt-Man? Well, you know, I've been on a bit of a sort of 80s kick, you know, looking back at some, I mean, kind of in a meandering sort of way, picking and choosing certain things. And movies from the 80s, are they lost gems? Are they treasure or are they turd? Well, you know, the answer usually lies somewhere in the middle. But I did mention rather flippantly in a previous video a film called The Ice Pirates. Yes, from the early to mid 80s. This was like a sci-fi comedy romp. A little bit bawdy, a little bit saucy, not too much. A lot of slapstick and a lot of ridiculous puerile humour. And as a kid, I loved it. I had it on VHS, then on Beta, or vice versa. And then it kind of got lost in the, you know, the labyrinth of my memories, and I remember loving it, but not why, and even what really happened in it. Anyway, perusing the shelves, I discovered I actually had it on DVD. Yes, no Blu-ray necessary for this baby. Here it is, and it's actually a German copy as well. I have no idea when I got that. Not at all. And I'm pretty certain I haven't even watched it, mainly because the cellophane was still wrapped around it. So I opened it up after me saying I was going to review it. Kind of had to put the money where the mouth was, you know. And I watched it last night. Was it as good as I remembered it? Was it a complete and utter turkey? Let's find out, shall we? I am not going to go into the absolute minutiae of the plot, because this is the sort of film where you could either view it as having no plot or as having rather too much for what it really is. By the way, to get in the theme of piracy, we're playing Bear McCreary's awesome score to TV's Black Sails, a show I really massively bigged up, and I urge you all, if you haven't seen it, to watch it. So, Ice Pirates. It's set in, of course, a galaxy far, far away, but I don't think a long time ago. I think it's way in the future. And there's been wars. There's always been wars, hasn't there? Whether they're just on a planet, which is reduced to an apocalyptic wasteland, or throughout an entire galaxy system, where, you know, now you've got factions on different planets who still don't get along, and you've got a tyrannical sort of overruling, you know, empire. And that's this sort of idea. In this galaxy, this universe, water is scarce. In Mad Max, it was gasoline. You know, now it's water. Probably, you know, and that's one of the most basic things that we all need. So, you know, it's really important. There is talk of a fabled planet, the 7th planet, which is mainly water. Yes, folks, before you get right ahead of me there, yes, you're right. You're sitting on it, or rather a dry part of it. Yeah. And into this sort of desperate universe, you have ice pirates. And these guys, headed up by Robert Urich from TV's Vegas. Yeah, 80s superstar. Sadly now deceased. Way too young he went. And he plays Jason, who runs a ragtag motley crew. They're always ragtag and always very motley, these crews, aren't they? And he goes around, a bit like Han Solo, the lovable rogue, the lovable renegade, you know, piracy from the high seas of planet Earth, a 7th planet, could also, you know, apply to space, the spaceways, you know, because if we ever do get out to the stars, you can bet your ass that there's going to be people who are going to start plundering, you know, all the resources out there and attacking other ships. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, he leads this crew, and the commodity is water, or rather ice, because you can transport ice a lot easier. So, him and his men they lay siege to this space cruiser near the start in some rip-roaringly crap visual effects. This is low budget, folks. You've got to expect that. It's awesomely low budget. And yet it's quite ambitious at the same time, which can be a mix for some, really inventive stuff, or it can be a fucking disaster. This kind of, it's got delusions of grandeur, but it also kind of knows its place in the hierarchy of, spectacular space adventures. It's right down the bottom. But they lay siege to this cruiser, and they steal some ice. They also encounter a princess whose name I've forgotten, but she's played by the lovely Mary Crosby. I think this was her actual movie debut. I think, could be wrong about that. So he kidnaps Jason because he falls in love with her, and but then they get captured. But in the meantime, she has forged a little bit of a bond with him. So when they get captured and sent to this sort of despotic planet which rules the galaxy with her overlords and protectors, she actually doesn't want him to suffer. Now, when they get captured, anyone who's a rogue, renegade, a prisoner, a captive, they will be castrated. Well, obviously, if they're male, they'll be castrated. And then, for some reason, they'll be put into a bright white, Daz white lycra jumpsuit, and their hair will turn completely white as well. But she manages to stop this from happening to him and his best buddy, played by Michael Roberts, I think it is. Is it? Michael D. Roberts, yeah. Who is still going. Done a lot of stuff, actually, Michael Roberts. And she saves them and buys them for her own, service. And she has her aide, this older Dave, who looks after it, but she's in on it as well. And the reason why she's freed these two is that she wants them to lead her to her mysteriously vanished father, her long lost father. Now, what's going on there? Why can't she find him? Where is he? So she frees them. They escape after much chases and battles. They escape, and then they plot a course to find the father. Mysteriously, they still can't find him, but they get a message from a mystical ring, a hologram. He gives them the coordinates to the 7th planet. So they get chased through a time warp, and then finally they will find planet Earth. And they will realise that they're now out of a job because there's water for everyone there. Now that's it. That's it in a nutshell. But what this is, it's a Star Wars, Errol Flynn, complete piracy, rip-off of everything going at that time. Everything that was popular is there. There's robots aplenty, and these robots are fucking buffoons. They're all men in suits, and the suits are pretty good actually. But being pirates, they don't just have blasters and like starships with laser cannons. They are carrying swords, cutlasses, and they do wear bandanas, and they do wear jewellery. They do look like pirates. They stride around in great big frilly shirts, and you've got Ron Perlman, who's on the crew, and I think this was his feature film debut as well, a young Ron Perlman. Give him a hand, because he loses his. Yes, he gets it hacked off, and then he gets it replaced, and You've also got Angelica Houston, who's on Jason's crew, and she is the blade expert, and she looks amazing. I've always had a thing for Angelica Houston. Maybe it's that nose, I don't know, but she is one sexy, sexy woman, especially in this. Some of the things that she wears, she's kind of drawn from the. Do you remember Sybil Danning in Battle Beyond the Stars as the Valkyrie in that big boob spaceship that she flew? Subtle nod from Mr. Roger Corman there, and but she plays. She forgets she's in a comedy. She's playing it straight, and that always works. You've got the straight person, and she's an expert with the sword. She battles really well, and she wears the skimpiest stuff. Oh, it's great. I mean, Mary Crosby's lovely too. Of course, she's the love interest, but it's all eyes on Angelica. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So you've got these robots, and these are the comic henchmen. They're all like robotic Benny Hills. They're complete and utter buffoons. When going into battle, they tend to shit themselves. I mean, literally shit themselves. One bends over, and all this oil flies out of his backside with a few nuts and bolts. Robbie Urich's like, oh Jesus, And then the next one that comes in slips on it like. It's a lot of it is slapstick. A lot of it is just infantile, very puerile, very obvious. Some of it's very racist as well, which is a little bit, you can tell that at the time, you would have Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor making it cool to say the N-word a lot. But there's something about in this, they're trying to do it in a way that it's not offensive, but it still is. And I definitely have forgot about that. Michael Roberts, I can forget his name, Michael Roberts. Yeah, Michael D. Roberts, let's be more specific about it. He gets a few sort of racist jibes thrown at him, but then he gets his own back. He creates a he's the one that can build all the robots and that, but they keep going wrong. And their favourite one, which was like, it kept getting blown apart, he rebuilds it and makes it a super uber robot, but it's black as well. So Robert Urich says, I know, this might be a personal question, but is there any reason why it's black? And he said, well, I want it to be perfect. So he finally gets his own back. I say the N-word gets thrown in, and you kind of like, ooh. Now, I am not going to sit here and be PC pontificating, because, these films are of their time, and films now tend to watch out for it. TV shows tend to watch out for it for obvious reasons, and and rightly so. But it struck me as funny in a weird sort of way that I was bothered by this, because at the time I probably wouldn't have been bothered at all. I would have laughed. You're meant to laugh, and the fact that a black man is also the butt of the joke and then gets his own back is the point, I presume. But it still comes across as a little bit, you're treading a very, very thin line there, and you have straddled it and, landed your plums right on it, on the cheese wire. And it's quite smutty. There's no actual nudity in it, but there is a sex scene, which is meant to be funny, but symptomatic of a lot of the comedy and the set pieces in this movie. It goes on too long and loses the joke. And that's the problem with a lot of this movie. There are bits that, even last night, I watched it late on, had me laughing out loud. And I don't tend to do that a lot at movies. I might laugh inwardly, especially if I've seen it before, Some things like Peter Sellers, Inspector Clouseau, you will laugh regardless. You could watch it all day long and your ribs would just be shattered completely. But this, there's a couple of bits which I did actually, I thought, I know this bit's coming up. And they were quite comical. When they're lying on this conveyor belt and they're about to be unicized. And there's these, because Jason, Robert Urich, he's the hero. He's a good looking guy, but he's also a complete idiot as well. And that's what's endearing about people like that, characters like that. You fall for them because you can see, they might be the hero, like Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China, which Kurt Russell nails, perfectly. He's the hero, you want to be him. And you know that you could perhaps be him because he's a fucking idiot at the same time. He makes mistakes. He only gets by because someone else helps him. And that's pretty much what Jason's like. So when they're lying on this conveyor belt, him and Michael D. Roberts about to be castrated by this fucking metal jaws that go animated, and you're like, oh shit, that coming up, and they're like, ah! But of course the princess saves them just in the nick of time. But there's these women, they shave them all first, like get all their heroic stubble off, and like, because Jason's like, he's strapped to this thing, he's sort of like, hey baby, and they're going, maybe later, and she goes, oh, you'll be a no fit state for later on with us, and he goes, oh god. It doesn't sound funny now, but when you're watching it, it is good, and there's little moments like that which genuinely spark it up. At the end, the big finale is I remember this being hysterical, and it's a nice idea. That's what I'm saying about the film. Has delusions of grandeur. It has ambitious notions which it tries to put across. It tries to bring in sci-fi and some other elements. It's very like Red Dwarf in that respect. Very like Red Dwarf. In fact, thinking about it now, the way the robots are, the way the action takes place, some of the sets, Red Dwarf is very similar to this. God, I've just thought of that now. That's a valid point. That's a very valid point. So I'll point properly. It's a valid point. Now I've made that point. I don't know what to do with it, but it's a point. But the finale, they go through like a time warp portal. They've got to keep to the exact coordinates to get to the seventh planet. Any deviation and you will plunge into time wormholes, and everything will speed up. You'll age. Well, what happens is they've been pursued by this Empire fucking, space cruiser, battleship, by the big despotic leader. Actually, the big despotic leader is played by, of all people, John Carradine, the great John Carradine, who's in it for like literally the blink of an eye. And I can't tell if they gave him special effect hands or his hands were so arthritic that they were deformed. I really can't tell, but I was shocked at them. So it was either a very good prosthetic or a really horrific arthritis which afflicted him. And I don't even know what purpose he serves, but the guy who's pursuing the princess, because the whole thing's been a setup because they want to find the seventh planet. So if they let her go with these pirates, it's a very convoluted. As we're saying, there's either too little plot or too much of it. You either accept it or you don't. But they've let her go in the hope to go and find their father, in the hopes that they'll get the coordinates to this planet as well, and then pursue these guys there, which is what obviously happens. So he's there, this bastard in charge, who once looked after the princess, but he's really got his own fucking nefarious ideas. Trust nobody in this or any universe. And they go, if you deviate, you will plunge into this wormhole, and they do. So even though they've been boarded by these renegade fucking elite robots, all with swords, and a big battle takes place. Every minute they're aging by about 2 or 3 years, and so as the fight goes on, their beards are getting longer, they're getting wrinklier, they're going greyer, then they're losing their hair, and of course just before this happened, Jason had shagged the arse off Princess Mary. It's not Mary, but he shagged the arse off the Princess Mary, if you get my drift. And so all of a sudden, the door, whoosh, Star Trek, whoosh, doors open, and she goes, "Meet your son." I was like, what? He'd only just bonked her like 5 minutes before, and now she's given birth already. And that is quite inspired, the way they do that. He goes, "You sure it's mine?" And of course, it pisses in his face, and he goes, "Yep, that's my son." And the way it transpires, they all get too old to fight, but the son, who's now Robert Urich, as you see throughout the movie, comes in and saves the day. And it's complete and utter, farce and lunacy. They throw everything into this mix. Battles, fights, slapstick, puerile humour. There's a Space Herpy bug, which actually it came out of an egg. So it's not like, transmitted that way, but it's horrible special effect bug. And, it causes havoc on the ship. So that becomes like a stupid thing in itself. But this finale, they will obviously, the wormhole, they will correct themselves get back on course. The other ship will get lost forever. So they win the day, and they get to air. And in the meantime, time has corrected itself. So obviously she's still pregnant. I mean, the film doesn't go on about that. It just happily ends there, like that's the old gaze at our water world, So, is it fun? Is it stupid? It's completely fucking stupid. Most of the jokes miss, and they miss by quite some way. But the makers don't realise that, and they let the joke carry on going. So you can't, you've got that, alright, let it go. But the ones that hit are worth it. And Robert Urich, Michael D. Roberts, Angelica Houston, Mary Crosby, they're a very likeable cast. So when you see that interplay, the double entendres and the little setups and set pieces, you're kind of carried away by the chemistry of it all. It does work. You will sit through it, and you will go, that wasn't bad. That killed an hour and a half. There is some completely inept moments as well, and there's plot strands that just go fucking nowhere, and you're left thinking, what was that about? What? They go and meet an old associate of Jason's, another pirate who's now seen the error of his ways and now lives out in the deserts like a nomad. And what's that about? Is he Billy Bones from Treasure? What is this? Because he knows about. I've seen Seven Planets. I've seen it. Oh come on, you've been out here too long. The sun's got to you and all this like. But so you've got these little elements creeping in there. So a lot of stuff has been thrown into the mix, and they haven't put the lid down on the blender, and a lot of it's gone fucking flying out all over the show. Ice Pirates, people. It's not as good as I remembered it, or rather as I thought I remembered it, but it's got its moments. And the best moment, the bits that tickled me most of all when I was a kid, as the film unravelled in front of me, I was good, it's coming up. And yeah, they still delivered. There were still funny bits that actually made me laugh out loud. There's not many films I can say that about. Would I watch it again? I'm in no hurry to watch it. Perhaps ever again. Oh, another thing. Again, Michael D. Roberts, when they go for the wormhole, the time portal, and they're aging rapidly. His afro is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, whiter and whiter, and then grey, and it's just, that is funny. You know, they're tripping over their own hair at one stage. It is reasonably funny. As I say, the robots are a clever idea, and there's something else as well. There's a big Bailey guy in it as well, who died at a very, very young age, and I have forgotten his name. Do forgive me for this, folks, because John Matusak. I recognise him. I have not IMDb'd him, so I do not remember what else he's been in. But I presume sporting movies. Maybe he was a sporting guy. He's a big, hefty bloke. He's quite funny, and he joins the crew. Sort of halfway into the movie, they encounter him, and he joins their crew. Now, sadly, he died at 38, which would be not too long after this film was made, I don't think. And who are we going to go with that? Well, he's good too. What's someone going to say about that? Well, I've completely forgotten. And that's probably the thing about this movie. It's easily forgotten. No, I've got it. You see him watching sports on TV. What sport's he watching? He's watching clips from Rollerball. Check out my review of Rollerball. And he's going, oh, come on, man. Oh. And it kind of works. You think, well, that would be a future sport, you know, and they would watch it. And the way they cut it in, his reactions are quite good. So that kind of worked. What isn't so good, though, and I'm not so forgiving about, is that, because that's a joke, that's an in-joke, using a rollerball there, that's fine. What isn't so fine is that some exterior shots that they use of this sort of planet where the tyrannical empire resides, their headquarters, they used the shots from Logan's Run of the dome city, of all those, you know, vehicles and all these sort of domes. It's a big model shot, and the camera zooms in, and you're like, oh, hang on a minute. That was only like 10 years before you made this film, and it's a classic. So people haven't forgotten that. That is poaching. You haven't used it as a joke or a reference point, you've just stolen that. And weirdly, because there's, even though a lot of it's filmed on sets, and the sets are, you know, they're just sub Star Trek episodes, very sub, but you kind of get it. They work. And there's some bigger sets like factories, big disused warehouses, which have all been, you know, mocked up and staged. There's, you know, huge arenas and stuff like, and city complexes. And you've got a pirate planet as well. Think of Nassau or Tortuga, and you've got this, and a huge chase across the deserts as well, with lots of explosions. So there's bigger moments in it, but you know, it's a small, ramshackle comedy with lofty ideas and ambitions, most of which fall by the wayside. So, but Ice Pirates, it's okay. It's definitely okay. Robert Urich, I think he's great, and the sparring between all the ensemble cast is often superb, but a lot of the time it kind of just falls flat as well. A good editor would know when to cut those moments. This was not a good editor. Anyway, folks, I'm going to be back very shortly, because today, of all days, I'm going for a bit of a marathon of videos. Space Herpy, sorry. Space Hairball. I'm going to see you all later. Space Herpes? Is that real?